I'm talking about the substance. Hey, this is not like a formal review of the movie. This is a chit chat. I just love this movie so much and I really just want to talk about it. It's my second favorite movie of the year. We have about a month and a half left to go. So do I think something will replace what my top favorite is? No. Am I going to give it some time? Sure. This second spot though, she's not moving. Oh my God, I'm in love with this movie. Before I saw it, I hadn't seen a trailer, and I think that's nice to do sometimes. So The Substance is a movie about a woman named Elizabeth, played by Demi Moore, who has recently been fired from her job and in a very vulnerable state offered the opportunity to take the substance which will transform her to the better version of herself. Because this isn't a review, there are spoilers present. This is a horror movie, but specifically body horror, which Margaret Qualley has done a couple of times. Yeah. She's good at it.
This is.
So the substance itself, she literally had to lower herself to get it. And the moment that she placed herself in the environment to obtain the substance, it's an alley, it's dark, it's isolated, there's nobody around, it's graffiti, it's dirty. And I'm just like, girl, think about what you're doing right now. Think about this. If this thing is something good for you, don't you think that it will just be presented just a little bit better? Because presentation is important in this film because it is important to the character, how Elizabeth and Sue, how they present themselves to the world. Taking the substance, I thought that part of the movie was very cool. The sound for the transformation from Elizabeth to Sue, it's just very good. It's just so well put together. When she takes the substance and the younger, hotter version of herself comes from within her, out of her back, I noticed right away that the younger version didn't take care of herself. She transformed, or the transformation took place, and she left her body on the floor. My immediate thought was, girl, you don't take care of yourself. Like throughout the movie, there are just so many examples of her not taking care of herself. And that was a clear one of them. She just left her body on the floor. As she's on the floor, Sue, her younger self, gets to be conscious and live as this version for 7 days. And after 7 days, OG Elizabeth gets to exist in the world again and not unconscious, laying wherever Sue leaves her.
I'm fine.
One of the first lines that Elizabeth says is that you don't want to look like a giant jellyfish, which is just a beautiful turnaround to the end of the movie. And that's not even her final form. Elizabeth, she needed friends. It's funny to say, but she was really isolated, and all of these there's so many things combined that make this character to the version that we see in the movie. She was constantly under the microscope of men and constantly criticized by men. And if I just feel like, and this may be a kumbaya moment, if she had a one friend that saw her for more than what she looked like, but it's not only that. It's not only that. That would have not been her saving grace.
Perfect balance of 7 days each.
They're both reminded throughout the movie that it's not her and I, it's you guys. Like you are one. In this time, we see two different lifestyles, and Sue is having the career and experiences that Elizabeth once had. So she's getting the job, she's getting praise, she's beautiful, she's young, she's hot, she is desired, and Elizabeth is not. And she spent that time watching TV and sabotaging herself and not living. And it just really upset me. I was like internally screaming, like, live, like, go live your life. You've been granted this opportunity, and she didn't do well with her time at all. And to be honest, Sue didn't do well with her time either, because she was so consumed with working and praise and being beautiful. And a thing that I really love throughout this movie is that the things that they didn't like within each other, they both had, because she is one. That just, oh, like the details within this movie. In the home that they share, Elizabeth has left a bunch of food. She leaves the TV on. She doesn't really take care of herself or her surroundings. And Elizabeth sees Sue not taking care of the place, drinking heavily. And it's like, you guys, they just couldn't get to the point where the habits within one were within the other. As things start to get worse and worse for essentially the both of them, but mainly Elizabeth, she has the opportunity to stop it where it is. Things are just getting bad for her, and her body is changing in a way that is mortifying to her. And even with that, she still doesn't stop. Like, she has the opportunity to stop and she doesn't. And it's like, above all else, beauty and vanity is just so important to her, even though it's literally hurting her. I just love that there were constant reminders or opportunities for her to stop, and she didn't. All right, here are my favorite scenes. One, when she was preparing to go out with Fred, and she couldn't leave the house after trying on different outfits. There's a moment that she had in the mirror after all of the time it took for her to get ready, and she does not like what she sees. And I don't believe there's any dialogue during this scene, but she's like wiping everything off. She's like attacking herself in the mirror. And I was screaming for her to, live her life. And it's like, there's more. There is more. She's just so focused on this one part of her appearance. And it just really made me sad, because I've been there many times, looked in the mirror and not like what I saw. Second favorite scene. It's not my favorite because of what I saw. It's my favorite because of how it made me feel. And there is a moment, or there is time, where both versions of Elizabeth and Sue are conscious at the same time. This is not supposed to happen. And all of the anger and resentment that they have built up towards each other is unleashed. I'm getting like emotional thinking about it. They fought. Sue whooped her ass. She whooped her ass. And I'd even say it went further than that. And it was so bloody and so emotional for me, because it was like the physical manifestation of beating yourself up. We do that, that happens in our minds, but seeing it on screen, her beating herself up, it was so violent and like shocking to me. I'm like, this, like, you came from her, like, this is you. And there was just so much rage and hatred towards herself. And it just really made me emotional. Like, this is the first horror movie to ever make me cry. And I definitely talked to my therapist after this. It was just very hard to see. As now sharing something about myself, when I was in college, I had in a constant loop in my head that I hate myself over and over and over and over, like background music, like as I just went out doing like my everyday, and that was not healthy. And so just like seeing that and just knowing someone that has battled with self-esteem, it was just tough. It was tough. I feel like I don't think I've seen anything like that before. And my last favorite scene was towards the ending, when Sue, it's not even Sue anymore. I think that it's the monster. There was a name for it. But this terrifying version of herself that just went beyond all limits of that just scary. It's like the scariest version of herself that just this whole experiment and everything just totally derailed. No respect to the laws or rules of this thing that we don't really know the substance that we don't really know much about. And she's on stage. Shout out to the writers, because while she was auditioning to replace Elizabeth as a aerobics teacher, TV show host, one of the casting people said if only her boob was on her face or something like that about someone else. And so the monster that she was, she had like boobs up here in different places. The script and the visuals having another connection, which this movie is so great. I love that they did that. Anyway, so she was on stage and it gets bloody, it gets nasty, and I love that the audience couldn't leave the space because they're part of it. The audience is also a part of this monster, not the monster that she is, but this monster of the societal pressures for women to look and be perfect at all times. And because there are people encouraging this, you know? And so to have the audience be sprayed with all of that blood, it was just red everywhere and everyone screaming and like trying to run out. And there was a child in a Cinderella dress in the audience. And it's just, woo. It's just so layered. It's so layered. And this image that women have to uphold yeah, I thought this was a really great scene because they are a part of what makes it scary. So they got the blood, they got to see how ugly all of this is and how ugly it can be to maintain these things. A couple of years ago, I went to a food and horror films panel, and it was so great and it opened my eyes, and I always love the presence of food in horror films. And I think that food is a big part of body horror because it is something that we are consuming, and as nice as it can also be very ugly and disgusting, and that was here. And so I like the film for that. I love how vibrant the film was. If Elizabeth and Sue had better self-esteem, better self-control, better self-acceptance, the experience of taking the substance would have been much better. But if she had all of those things, she wouldn't need the substance to begin with. All around, I love the movie for how it made me feel and how it made me reflect, and not just about myself, but about the world around me and what it is to exist as a woman in this world, and all put together in a horror lens. I love horror movies, and I really just think it's a phenomenal film. As a Black person, there's not a lot of Black people in here. I think I saw one. So there's that. If you have seen the movie, let me know what you think. Let me know what you think about this sort of chat through about a movie, because I love talking about them. Let me leave you with a recommendation. I just watched the Gladiator 2. I went to an early screening. It's good. It's good. There you go. After you watch that, then come back here and we can talk about movies. Thanks for watching this video. My name is Beautiful, but you can call me B. And I haven't even watched that many rom-coms this year. Just being honest, I've watched more horror movies than anything else. And it's been amazing.